We got 20 to 30 days fuel, from aviation fuel to diesel.
It's amazing, isn't it?
So if someone can cut off our access to fuel, in essence, the country stops in 30 days.
Yep.
And if you think about how your food gets to a cold shelf and COVID, when we had those very little stoppages because trucks were still moving.
Clean the toilet paper out pretty quick.
Yeah, and so if you've got stores from last time, you'll be right. But it really is scary when you start thinking what would happen if trucks can't deliver food from the farm to the store. That's just a blockade. And then you add on to it a cyber scenario where we don't have power, we don't have water.
Well, welcome to Convos on the Couch. I'm Tom Reardon, and joining me on the couch is obviously leaders throughout Australia and internationally in their specific field, and great privilege today to have Damien Richards on the couch, General Manager of Defence MRO at TAE Aerospace, but also has a huge resume, obviously experience in delivering, sovereign capability through Australia, and also board member of Defence Employee Partner Network, and on advisory boards supporting the defence sector across the Australian national format. So, speaking at a time like at the moment, it's probably the most heightened global. It's on everyone's lips at the moment. Defence and security. We've got America, Venezuela, America, Greenland. We've got Ukraine, Russia. We've got China. There's plenty happening at the moment. Like it's I don't know if you describe it as an exciting time for yourself, but it's definitely an interesting time in the business space that you're playing at. How are you seeing it from your perspective?
Yeah, I'd probably use the word sometimes scary.
Yeah.
So probably interesting. It's boring's good in defence. Definitely the changing world, and if we probably go back to around 21, the US openly had Senate discussions around the window that was appearing around 2027, and they're now very, very open in using that time frame of 27. And I was at a defence symposium in the States a couple of weeks ago, which was the Department of War, as they now call themselves, no longer the Department of Defence in the US. So it was the Department of War Maintenance Symposium. And every single discussion was about 27. And I have to say, everyone realises that's next year. We are talking a year now. And this window was all about China's ability to be ready for their 100th year anniversary of the PLA, and the possibility of them using their ability in the region to bring Taiwan back into the fold. And that was something that obviously scared America way back when, and they've been working towards that point.
And China have been pretty vocal about that still up to this date. That's a line in the sand, haven't they?
Yeah, it's if you look back in history of what happened to China, First World War, Second World War, and I was lucky enough, I've run manufacturing facilities and done business in China and spent a fair bit of time in China before I was in the defence industry, obviously. And the Chinese government and the Chinese people really have quite a simple concept in that they don't ever want to have happened to them what happened to them in the wars. They don't ever want to have another country come in and do what was done to them. That they want to grow and prosper and be an amazing country and look after their people. And they really don't like people telling them what to do. Not strange. Most people are pretty similar. They want a good life. They want to look after and keep their families safe. And they've had a plan, and they've delivered on their plan. That's really as simple as it is. And the United States, with be it Venezuela or Greenland or Canada or all of the distractions around going into different parts of the world, I think the reality is we will have a new world order at some point in time, and hopefully we get there peacefully.
Yeah.
But Australia still needs to be able to defend itself and ensure that we're safe, no different to why we have police and other things in society.
And how, when you talk about the new world order, I was reading an article the other day saying sort of the US will have that section, Russia will have Europe and all that section, China will have that, which pretty much, if you look at it from that perspective, it's pretty much saying that, Australia will fall under China's regime. How do you see it it's a bit of a, throw some glitter in the air and question, but it's a pretty hard one, but it's pretty interesting when you look at, the history and around the globe and the battles that have happened.
Yeah. I don't know if you, do you watch Utopia, the working dog?
Yep.
So I don't know if you've seen the episode, which is called Australia's Defence Policy. So I'll give the very short example, but watch it. It's pretty cool. So Rob Stitch is in his room with a heap of defence people and all the government ministers and politicians, and he says, okay, so we're asking to spend $30 billion a year on Australia's defence. What are we spending this money on? And they don't really want to answer the question. He gets out of them in the end saying that. So we're spending $30 billion a year to protect our export shipping lanes and our ability to ship to our biggest partner, who is China. And we're protecting that shipping lane from China. Does anyone find this strange? And it's comedy and parody. But in essence, you have to then ask the question, why would China want to stop? Going back to those three things I said, that they want us to provide food for them. They want us to provide minerals and other things so that they can prosper and do what they want. I think it's a very different world to World War II, where Japan wanted to conquer this whole part of the world and rule it. And in Europe, obviously the same sort of concept. I don't think we're in that scenario, particularly in our part of the world. Maybe in other parts of the world, Russia and America's maybe a different discussion. But China doesn't openly say that they want to rule the world. It's just that they want to protect themselves and protect their interests.
Resources.
So it may well go down that route like you described, and based on numbers, it's going to be something close to that. But I think the majority of Australians are pretty apathetic to that question.
I agree.
In reality.
I agree. And so run me through, how did you get into the defence sector originally?
I'm not a veteran. I'm not a defence person. I'm one of the few that's not. I was living in Singapore for 5 years in an infrastructure design, build and operate type environment. Came back to Australia. I'm born in Brisbane. Came back home and saw a job in the paper for an ops manager at this company called TAE, who at the time was an Air New Zealand company. Thought, looks pretty cool. Oh, it's at the RAF base. Wonder what they do. Didn't know much else. Went for an interview. A guy called Andrew Sanderson was the first employee. He's ex-RAF, was our founder, if you like, and then grew and owned the business, and recently has sold the business and retired. And I said, look, I'm not defence. I'm not Air Force. Most people on the base were Air Force. Sounds really interesting. How can I help you? And he was great and said, look, I'm looking for someone that's not in that same mold. We need to look broader. And even back then realised that if you were just purely looking after Australian defence, and that was all your environment was, you really couldn't survive that defence.
Cap out.
You just couldn't give you more. And so he was looking for people to join the company that had experience in different places and could see opportunities where we could grow the business, and then continue to support defence, but have resources well and above what defence could pay for to be able to give that back to defence. So, that's how I got in, and it's been a cool ride ever since.
Yeah, unbelievable. And so if you're at a barbecue, how did you describe your role to people around the barbie?
So I try and, because our business is military and commercial, and we do a number of other things. So depending on the audience, I'm very cautious nowadays. Some things that I say, and there's certain things I'm not allowed to say. But in essence, I just say I work for an aerospace company that helps keep our customers flying. Those customers could be people doing firebombing, protecting rainforests, protecting people's houses. We have a number of our customers around the world. That's what they do. From flying people around the world, Qantas, Jetstar are our customers. To, if the environment's right, I'll describe and discuss how we help support Australia's defence, US and Malaysia, and what we do there.
And it's a high pressure environment in the defence sector? What motivates you to stay in that sector? Is it the challenge, or is it, there's a fair bit of responsibility that goes with, the areas that you're playing in, whether it be saving a rainforest or the defence stuff.
I was saying that we have the saying, you can't park on clouds. and that's the big stress point. If something goes wrong, and safety we have 3 values in TAE: safety, people and performance. Safety is number one for us. And it's not just the safe environment for our workers, it's our worthiness safety. So everything we do keeps everybody safe, be it you're a passenger in a plane or you just happen to be on the ground underneath a flight path. So the things that are the high stress are making sure, what are we doing to continue to improve that area and be safe? The really easy answer is we get to play with some pretty cool stuff with some amazing people. The industry in Australia at the moment, with some of the great stuff that David down in SciPac is doing with his business and company, from the smaller businesses that are growing quite rapidly to aiming at Boeing Defence Australia and designing, building, and now really having it in operation. Australia's first designed aircraft in a very, very long time in the Ghost Bat is a really cool place to be.
Yeah, we're fortunate enough. Vu Tran sits on our board, and obviously the founder of Go One, but also doing his rocket stuff at the moment, which is
really cool.
Which is really interesting. And if you look at Australia, how do you assess, the current threat environment facing Australia?
People forget we have 5 forces nowadays. Most people know Army, Air Force, Navy. We've got space, who's playing, but cyber. And cyber is the area that we're changing how we think. As you mentioned before, I assist Defence on an advisory board, particularly on reservists.
Yep.
And one of the really big areas that we're learning, Ukraine and other type things, is you need to be able to grab someone that has particular skills and abilities, give them a very quick understanding of how the concept of defence works, and then let them do their thing.
Yeah.
Cyber is definitely that area that you're not going to get someone, give them 3 years of how to point and shoot.
Yeah.
And then teach them how to use a computer.
Yeah.
It's very much the reverse. Yeah. It's very much find the best people and help them protect our infrastructure. How can they ensure that we don't have someone cyber attack and shut down our telecommunication systems, drinking water, et cetera, et cetera. And I think the concept of a invasion, which might have been the case in a World War II scenario where that was the risk, it's now, how do you protect what we do and our way of life from a cyber attack and missiles? Yeah. That's really the other the risk, I suppose. And
from a capability perspective, how's Australia looking from a capability perspective?
I think definitely in the cyber world and in our changing of defence and the structure of defence moving north, et cetera, it is second to none. The big problem we've got is, and it's an advantage, it's a really big country. So trying to defend Australia is not a simple task, but it's really designed now around what can we do in a short period of time. There's a number of papers that were released late last year into the public domain around the fact that we got 20 to 30 days fuel, from aviation fuel to diesel. It's
amazing, isn't it?
So if someone can cut off our access to fuel, in essence, the country stops in 30 days.
Yep.
And if you think about how your food gets to a cold shelf and COVID, when we had those very little stoppages because trucks were still moving.
Clean the toilet paper out pretty quick.
Yeah, and so if you've got stores from last time, you'll be right. But it really is scary when you start thinking what would happen if trucks can't deliver food from the farm to the store. That's just a blockade. And then you add on to it a cyber scenario where we don't have power, we don't have water, all of those things. So that's where defence definitely is doing some great things. And it really needs to be the focus, because that is the risk.
And, that cyber one's really interesting. What other areas do you think that, the general public, if there's a conflict occurring, whether it be, UK and Russia or whether it be US currently, where do you think they misunderstand, defence and its role in that? And I suppose, probably more general, where do they misunderstand modern conflict?
I think, and it's the usual Australian vernacular of the pub test. If you walked into a pub and asked people what they think about defence, I think they'd think Anzacs, and they'd think, people on horses, tanks, that sort of thing, fast jets, carriers. Very few people, I think of urban warfare.
Yeah.
The Ukraine environment is definitely, we look after and assist the Australian Army with the M1 Abrams tanks.
Yep.
Australia has gifted some of our older M1 Abrams tanks to the Ukraine to help them, but that's only a very small part of how they're defending their country.
Yeah.
And things like having drones hidden in container ships that you smuggle into a country and then launch to try and take out a couple of aircraft that are bombing your country. Yeah. That's very different to how I think we think as a nation. And as a nation, even thinking about somebody invading or someone attacking what we call home is, I think, extremely foreign to the majority of people.
Yeah.
There was a recent article I read about Darwin during Second World War and how there was no information being passed down to the rest of Australia because they were scared that the general public would lose faith in the war and be concerned that Darwin was being bombed. So we hid it from them. And I was think about this day and age, within 2 seconds of something happening, the whole of Australia will know from social media.
The whole world will know.
So I was thinking, how would the general public in the pub react if they just heard that Darwin's fuel depot had been bombed? And I don't know if we know how to react as Australians. So it's not something we're conditioned to.
No, and especially different generations. And 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 you probably touched on it before with, we're some of the leaders in the world in the space, but how prepared do you think we are for, certain attacks? If one, like, are we just chasing our tail based on, previous decades, or, how prepared are we if something did happen in Australia?
Oh, I think
obviously the fuel's an issue, but
and that's really not the Department of Defence's problem.
No.
That's more wider government.
Yeah.
From a defence point of view, definitely our defence forces are up there with leaders in the world, preparing for all different types and sorts of risks and attacks. And I was extremely lucky to be invited to 3rd Brigade's live firing exercise up in Townsville late last year, and to watch the capability of our combined defence force in that environment is amazing.
Yeah,
and,
I was at Avalon last year, and geez, some of the equipment that they've got on show there and live demos is just astounding.
It's pretty cool, and we're not a big defence force compared to other places, but our skill set, ability and knowledge in the amazing people that are in our defence, be it full-timers or reservists, is incredible. Every time I get the luxury of meeting those people and talk to them, you're just amazed. And, young people that have so much knowledge, leadership skills, ability. It really is every time just, wow, how did you get all of this? How are you, so good at what you do?
Yeah.
So I think definitely in that area we're well prepared.
Yeah. And from sovereign capability, say, for example, maintenance or, the whole way through the cycle of the machinery that you're supplying, are we lacking with sovereign capability from that side of things? And how do we, it's $1 million question, but how do we, advance that as much as possible? Or do you think we don't need to advance it, and it's because of our relationships with certain areas that it can, we can utilise the skills from those countries?
It's a good question, and in my world, which is fixing engines predominantly and other items off aircraft and vehicles. Like the manufacturing industry with cars, we gave away the farm a long time ago.
Yeah.
So when I joined TAE, we were looking after the F-111. And because Australia was the only one that had the F-111, in here in Queensland, we had full capability. We could fix anything. We had everything. So basically we could keep the aircraft flying for whatever need they had. We didn't have to, and we couldn't buy parts from America, etc. Move forward over many years, governments, etc., have said, we'll just buy off the shelf, we'll just buy off the shelf. No different to, how many BYD car parts are made in Australia? How many BYD parts can you fix in Australia? We're the same. So we're bringing some of that back. So we look after we're one of the engine shops that looks after the F-135 off the Joint Strike Fighter around the world. And it's a different concept where wherever those modules are, it doesn't matter who they were bought by, come into the shop. So it's very different to other models where a sovereign country looks after their own assets. And that model just has capabilities and capacities. But realistically, we're now in an environment where it takes about 10 days to get a military part out of America. Most of our parts come from America to us in Australia. That's because you can't fly via certain countries. There's only certain routes. There's some logistic issues that aren't quite as simple as Amazon. Although some days I wish we could use Amazon.
Hawaii, New Zealand, Australia, or something like that.
Pretty much. So because of that, we've had to work out what are the quick issues. And if you read anything about what people think a future conflict could look like, pretty much from the flag going up, if there was a blockade, Australia's out in 10 days. So we look at the window of not what we do in that 10 days, because that's really just a battle damage type concept. It's what can we do well before that 10 days? How can we ensure that we're as ready as we can ever be for what we need to do to support and prepare for enabling the Defence Force to do their job, and for those people to have everything they need when they need it. And that's what we exist for, and what we do in that environment. So there's certain things we're trying to bring back, and that's not around, I wouldn't call it sovereignty, and it's more around global logistics, and it's around the fact that globally we have some significant manufacturing issues, and a lot of parts of the things we work on come out of America, and they only have single source. Warren Buffett owns a huge amount of the companies that produce what we need, both in military and civilian. There was a factory recently in the States burnt down, and because of that, there are jets, commercial and military, parked up around the world for nuts and bolts. Because they were the only ones that made these nuts and bolts.
Unbelievable, isn't it?
And in this day and age, you think, anyone can make a bolt, not an aviation bolt, and get it qualified and authorized. And people, as we get smaller and more efficient and lean, and nobody wants to do these things, that's the risk that you take.
So continuing on from that, technology is moving at a ridiculous pace. Some tech's gone within a month, and there's a new thing and that's gone. How do you make decisions in your business and in leadership role around, is this worth an investment, or do we hold off and see what happens, or no, we need to be on the front foot with technology? Like, how's that process work from yourself and the business?
In my sort of side, whilst things move around fast, defence and aviation doesn't move fast. And it's around risk, because we've got so much risk mitigation. If a technology comes and goes fast, it doesn't even meet the way that we can analyse risk. So our stuff is all about what can help fix my problem statement. If it's a bit of technology, be it an AI technology that can reduce engineering time, that can reduce, we're into it as fast as we can, but we need to be able to do it in a secure environment. So it's really cool nowadays that it's not that you have to go and put it on somebody else's server in some space that they can see it. They will now give you the AI, you put it on your system, and it's almost like the movies where you have your old Apple II computer with their AI doing your analysis. I've said to people, if you watch the Tron movie, and I had to remember what the original Tron movie was, but there's a new Tron movie out that has futuristic AI, 3D printing, this ability to think as a machine. That's utopian in that sense, but anything in that area that can assist us, we get into quite quickly. As long as we can protect all the things that we need to protect from a security and data point of view.
And from slowing down, so what's actually slowing the defence sector down? Is it structural stuff? Is it political? What stops it from? It's obviously a huge focus at the moment, and there's going to be large spend and continue to be large spend. But what slows it down from your view?
I think definitely, and this is Damien's view of the world, politically.
Yeah.
The fact that today we've got a new Liberal leader, the focus is on whatever all those changes are. Our defence minister is first the deputy prime minister, second the defence minister. I remember many years ago when Brendan Nelson was our defence minister, an amazingly articulate person, very smart, very switched on, did some incredible things for reforming defence and looking at how we can have the machine go faster, better, and support the person that needs it. And I don't know if we politically have that same focus. Yeah. And it's around the competing health, housing, and I suppose it comes back to that. What does the general Australian person want or think that we need? And I don't think that defence ranks up there at the top of the ballot of things that people want. When a politician says, I'm going to stand for these things. And that's the problem that we've got. It's really at that level. The Department of Defence and 2 stars and 1 stars that lead defence are some of the most amazing people in capability, skills. That's not where I think our issues lie.
And so touching on that political leadership and leadership in general, where do you think, where have you seen leadership shine in that defence space? Because there's so many stories of so much, whether it be on the business side of the defence sector, but also in the defence. But where have you come across it, I suppose?
Well, there's a number of individuals, particularly in Air Force and other areas, that people that could see the future quite well. So when the F-111 was retiring, it was high likelihood that a lot of industry in Australia would just go away because we were buying this short-term Super Hornet that we're only going to have for a short period of time. We have these new aircraft. We'll just basically rent them and America will do everything and it'll be fine. And there was a number of people inside of Air Force and in other parts of defence that saw, if this industry leaves Australia, you won't get it back. And we need this. We need to keep this capability. So they made a number of decisions and risked their careers around certain things that they did. That means that companies like ourselves exist today. And really, I look to them as forward leaders that made those calls and decisions. And it wasn't easy. Easiest decision would have been, I just send it all back to America. I don't have people, I don't have contracts, it's just pay some money and it's all good. That would have been the easy answer, but that's not what they decided. And, I think Australia's defence is a lot stronger because of it, and business and industry.
I think it's definitely the right move, but a huge call in the position they would have been in at that stage.
Definitely.
And where do you see gaps in leadership in the defence space, and how's Australia as a nation fill those gaps?
I think defence does quite a good job in Australia of attracting, finding and creating and building leaders. They're very good at it. And I say to anyone that will listen to me, hire a veteran every day of the week. I know you too, a lot of. And,
we hire a lot of veterans.
Because they've been selected, they've been trained incredibly well, that they're amazing people that have skills that in business you can't teach. And reservists, I treat even better, particularly in my industry, because they're getting live training all of the time, and you can't buy that training and education. So I think in that side we do really, really well. It's just about educating people that there is a career in defence or reserves or in industry where you can do these things, and then providing them opportunities inside and outside of our industries to learn lots of other skills and abilities that make them better leaders. Yeah,
we don't market it very well, do we? And look, it's a hard thing to market, but I don't think we market. We're always aggressive about marketing. The person with the paint on their face and then going out to battle, join the Defence Force, but we don't market the thousands and thousands of roles that sit down in the background whether it be a carpenter, whether it be a warehouse manager, whether it be that are out there and opportunities in that space where the private sector is going very hard in advertising and promoting those opportunities where I think the defence can definitely take a tick out of that book but it's a hard environment to employing at the moment as it is, isn't it? With unemployment sitting around the 4% mark, and then it's going to be difficult, whatever sector you're in.
And at the moment, it's a great point. I'm competing with defence. It is now attractive, and they're actually doing a great job of attracting people. It's quite interesting. Whenever there's a conflict, people and that's a great Australian thing. They want to join. So our numbers joining defence at the moment are record highs. But they're offering a good career too. So, we try and say, great, come and learn. We'll grab you as you come out the other end. Fantastic. But it is difficult to attract people in that environment and to get them. It definitely is not easy.
And you originally, you told the story around coming from an adjacent industry. How important is it, do you believe, to continue to in that space, make sure that people, whether they're coming from mining or energy or tech background, how important is it to make sure that we've got those different industries sort of feeding into it rather than purely someone that's come through the defence?
100%. And it's for many reasons, cross-skilling any business, having experiences that people have had and knowledge, but it's connection. In a country like Australia, we need connection. So you need people inside of your organisations go, if it's a logistics issue, who better than someone who's been in Lindsay Fox's organisation or another great. They are experts at moving stuff, big stuff, and getting it where it needs to be. If it's inside of the AI type industries, we need to have people that are coming out of smaller startup businesses that learn how do you very quickly move. As you said before, the technology, that's not something we're used to innately in our bigger industry type, be it mining or be it extraction systems. That concept that people that work in nowadays, app creation, can move so fast. So you need all of those people to create an excellent team that no matter what our problem is, we've got the right people to help us solve it.
Yeah, it's an interesting environment too, because you're blending someone someone that's worked in the defence sector has a certain sort of skill set and training versus someone from another sector. So it's, trying to marry up would be difficult at times, I would imagine. Now I'm going to hit you with 5 quick questions, short and sharp, but whatever comes to mind as soon as it hits your mind. But worst buzzword in business right now?
My world sovereignty. We've talked about it.
No, it's not going to stop, I wouldn't think.
No.
You go to when you're completely fried at the end of the day?
Music. Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds.
Oh, yeah, good. I've seen them play live.
Yeah, so did I at Festival Hall many years ago. Showing our age, mate.
No, yeah, exactly. One thing you're terrible at that your team secretly save you from?
Patience. I'm not the most patient person on the planet, and in my world, you have to be quite patient. But my team definitely are amazing. They bring me back to.
Yeah, it's probably not a bad characteristic though to get stuff done.
True. You need to be patient.
Your best golden nugget every leader should know.
I had a leader when I was young in my career that really taught me, if you can find someone that's incredibly passionate about what you do and what they do, and you can teach them anything. And I've lived by that.
Yeah, it's a great theory.
And 100% believe it.
Yeah, no, that's brilliant. The best thing you've read or watched lately that you actually learned from?
I watched the Brad Pitt Formula One movie on a flight recently, Plan C. So if you haven't watched the movie, watch the movie and Plan C. Yeah. I won't give away the story, but Plan C is we're actually using it in business at the moment, Plan C.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's amazing what they've been able to do with that Formula One through that, Netflix doing the series, like the following around the world, and it's phenomenal. Mate, I'd just like to thank you heaps for joining me. I know how flat out you are at the moment in the current environment and with your business. So wish you all the best. It's a really exciting space and you've been playing in it for a very long time. So thanks heaps for taking time and jumping on the couch with me.
Thank you. It's great to have a chat.